The first step in making the hot brown is you want to melt a whole stick of butter, which equals a half a cup. And then you're going to stir in a half a cup of flour and let it brown a little bit. So now I'm going to add the flour. And I'm going to whisk it. Turn the heat down a little bit. You want to make it very smooth and we want to let it get a little bit brown. I'm going to stir this for a little bit before I add the bacon ahead of time. And I'm letting it hang out here on this paper towel to get some of the grease off of it. And I'll use this later. So I'm constantly stirring the flour and butter mixture. You don't want to have it burn, otherwise you're going to have a burnt taste to your Mornay sauce. And if I didn't say that already, that's what we're making, a Mornay sauce, which is a Parmesan cheese-based sauce. The next step is to add in gradually 3 cups of milk. I'm going to add a little bit at a time. I'm going to whisk it constantly so that no lumps form. And this is called a roux, for those of you that don't know. I'm making a roux to make a cheese sauce. See how I keep stirring so that it doesn't get lumpy. I'm going to keep adding milk until all 3 cups are whisking constantly and we're about to get to a boil. Whatever you do, you don't want to let the milk burn. Because again, your whole sauce will be ruined. So I can feel it thickening up as it gets closer to the boiling point. And then once it is boiling nicely, I'm going to turn it down and I'm going to stir in about 6 to 7 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. You kind of know when it's done where you can add the cheese because you can see the mixture kind of coat the side of the pan. You see that? And you know it's getting to a nice smooth consistency where you can add the cheese in. You can also feel it with your whisk too, that it's gotten a little bit thicker and then it's ready to absorb the cheese. Got the cheese in there. And I keep whisking so that it's very creamy consistency. You can see it. And I'm about to add in this 1 whisked egg. And it's very important once you add this egg in that you don't want to bring the sauce to a boil again. So you have to be very careful. Add the egg. And then the final step for me is I add just a little tiny pinch of nutmeg. Just adds another layer of flavor to the Mornay sauce. But a typical Mornay does not have nutmeg in it. That's my own little secret. And I like it to have a very Parmesan cheese taste. So I add a little bit more than a typical recipe calls for. Just as you can see, it's nice and creamy and smooth, no lumps. It's gonna go great over the hot brown. Step of the Mornay sauce is to add some heavy cream. You do this when it's not on the heat. You add about 2 tablespoons. Stir that in. And now I'm gonna let this sit for a sec while I toast up my bread. And then we'll assemble. In my version of a hot brown, what this recipe is obviously missing after all the butter and milk and cheese is more fat. So I like to put a light smear of Hellmann's mayonnaise on my brioche and I toast it up in a pan, sort of grilled cheese style. And it gives like a nice crisp outer layer onto the bread and helps hold up a little bit better in the final product. I've got these guys toasting up really nice. You can see they get nice and golden brown. You don't want to do them too much because they bake in the oven under the broiler setting, so don't get them too overdone. Just a nice brown on them is good. Individual casserole dish because these are served in little individual pans. Got my toasted bread. Now here's where I took a shortcut. Typically you roast your own turkey for this dish so that it adds more of a home-cooked feel, but in the interest of being quick, I got some really high quality shaved maple smoked turkey breast for this. Plus I don't prefer a really thick slice of turkey, so I like it when it's kind of lunch meat and shaved. And then you've got my sliced tomatoes and my awesome My bread is in the bottom of the dish. I'm gonna apply a liberal amount of turkey to the top of it. And then these tomato slices. Layers going. My turkey, my tomato, and I topped it with some parm. And now I'm gonna pop it in the oven on a broil setting. Make sure that you don't let it sit too long so it doesn't burn. Along very beautifully. So a little bit longer. You have your hot brown signature cross of bacon. A little bit of more dipping bread on the side. Your melty cheese. Your delicious tomatoes. Fabuloso!